G'day everyone, welcome to this webinar. Sorry about the slight delay at the beginning. Just sorting out a few little kind of teething issues at our end, which is really good. So thanks so much for coming along tonight to the webinar. And we hope that you'll get a lot out of it as we go through. We've got a whole lot of things that we want to show you tonight and take you through a whole lot of steps. And we hope that you will get the maximum benefit out of what we think is a great tool in the Microsoft world, which is Microsoft Teams. So this is a webinar that is designed to help you guys see how Teams work and see how it works. Our backstory for using Teams is quite an interesting one. We explored a number of options in terms of what we would use for our hub for communication, our hub for organization, and our hub for just building resources and documents that we can use. And we tried a whole lot of them. We end up coming back to Teams because Teams ticked a lot of the boxes for us. So today we're going to go through a whole lot of gear and show you how it runs. This is being recorded as well, so if I say something that's absolutely fantastic, you can always come back and listen to it over and over again, which is fantastic. And also, if some of your colleagues or other people you might work with aren't with you tonight, then you can forward on, you can talk to them about it as well, which is good. A couple of questions to start with. We just thought we'd kind of fire up with the kind of thing that if you have got your microphones turned on, you need to mute stuff, you might just need to mute, but I think that's working perfectly, so I won't even touch that one. But the next one is we want to look at the whole idea of what this, what Microsoft Teams does for us, and we see it as the hub that holds everything together. So in the past, we might have used something like OneNote to try to collaborate and bring things together, but there are some failings with that. But now with Teams, this is the hub that can bring our documents, our content, our conversations, our calls, even screen recording, all those kind of things in one spot and make that collaboration and communication a lot quicker. You can also grab it on the Google Play Store and drop it down onto an Android device and also onto an iOS device as well. And the app versions are exceedingly good. We're quite impressed with how well they work, and we do a lot of work on our phones, and we find that the app version is just terrific. The first question we've got for you guys, which you can post in the chat as well, is really looking at what area you're working in at the moment. So what kind of environment are you working in? Are you in an education space or are you in a not education space, which might be business? Because that'll direct a little bit the direction of the last part of the way in which we're going to do the webinar, because there are some things that the education side do a little bit, and there's another bit that's sitting on the business side as well. You can type questions at any stage, and we've got people in the background that will actually pick them up for you, and I'll be able to answer them, which is really good, so that you can type your questions away at any stage during this. So we're going to stop a couple of times in case there are questions there, and I'll pick up on them and deal with them as well. So the education space is slightly different to the business space. It's just got a couple of different things in there that you'll see. And today, when I do my demonstrations, I'm going to be showing you the education space, but we'll kind of keep on swinging back a little bit and talk about what this looks like in the business as well. So I'll just kind of move on there. So the goal today is we're going to look at these things here. We want to look at what makes Teams such a really good environment to work in, how we can communicate, some tips and tricks that we've picked up on the way, and some best practice things. How you can use the files and collaboration piece inside Teams effectively, how you can project manage, which is also built into Teams as well, and then also look at right at the end of, if you are going to bring Teams into your workplace, how would you do that? What's the best way to do that? And we've got some kind of hints about how you can actually empower that to make it work really well as well. So as I mentioned before, we are looking at this one hub that brings everything together. So let's have a look at what it actually looks like. So in the middle of the Teams piece is the actual team itself, which has a communication side of it, a filing side of it, some tabs, and it brings everything into one spot so you can work on. So in terms of the Microsoft suite, the whole O365 suite is available to you. So that's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. Also Outlook sits inside there, and then Stream and Forms and Planner are all sitting inside Teams for you to have. Now, if you want to get nerdy, the way in which Teams works is it actually creates a SharePoint site in the background for you, and SharePoint runs all of this, but you never have to see it, which is terrific. The other piece inside the Teams world is the whole idea of being able to communicate. You can do voice calls, you can also do video calls and chat calls, and chat as a chat function as well, which we'll show you in a tick. So all those things are embedded inside Teams. So if you're having conversations with people, you might start off in just a chatting format, like an instant messaging, and then you might jump into a video straight away as well. The other nice thing that's working in the Teams world is these things that we can plug into there so that it will link to other systems as well. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the educational ones towards the end and talk about some of the cool stuff that you can do in the business environment. Cool. So the beautiful thing about Teams is it gives us a workspace where we can collaborate and communicate, and that's a really good way of building community as well. And that could be your workspace. You might be restricted to go to work for a while. So how can you actually still work in an environment and still get your productivity working and communicate and go things properly? So how do we do that? That works inside Teams as well. If you're a teacher, you can set it up so we can personalize learning for students so they all get different tasks, but you can monitor them really easily in a central spot. So let's pretend that you're sick for a while and you can't go to school. You can still run your classes online by using Teams to be able to manage that as well. Also within Teams is the capacity to build just professional learning networks. And also the best thing that we found for our team here at Using Technology Better is that we found that the staff communication became really streamlined and really fluid. And for us, that was a real winner. So as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here, there is a nice little picture of what a team looks like. It's got channels down here where underneath physical science, it's built for science. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the conversation happening as well. So we're going to show you around here a little bit, and we will see what's actually sitting inside the Teams environment. Built into Teams is a great way of scheduling and joining meetings, sharing with each other, making meetings more inclusive, and you can record meetings as well. Just while I just distract a little bit from this presentation, just kind of see that Gwyneth is here from Christchurch in New Zealand, so it's great to see you here. Are you able to post if you can see and hear us fine? Because from our end, we think we're doing really terrifically, and we just want to know whether you, from your end, you can see us as well, which would be terrific if you could do that. That'd be fantastic. And if you could post it, it'd be great. Thank you very much. No, I'll keep on going now. The beautiful thing about Teams is that it also records meetings, and I'll show you that as well, and I'll show you a really cool thing that a thing called Stream does as well, which we trialed the other day and couldn't believe what we did with it, but that's kind of like a teaser for the end. So the first thing I would like to show you is the Teams user interface. So if you've played around with Teams a bit, you kind of know what's there. And thanks for that, Gwyneth. We're so happy that you can hear us, which is terrific. So this is the interface. So this is the way we break it down. When you open up Teams, either on your mobile app, on a desktop app, in the web, on a PC or a Mac or a Chromebook, it looks the same. It looks the same across everywhere, which is fantastic. Down the left-hand side, you have what we refer to as the Me space or the app bar, and inside that you have the activities icon, you have a chat icon, Teams, meetings, files, and if you are a school and you've got an education account, you'll have a thing called assignments. If you haven't got an education account, you won't have assignments there. And then down the bottom is some other bits and pieces as well. The Files tab that's sitting here is actually a link to your OneDrive. So you can click on the files and it takes you straight to OneDrive and you get all your stuff there straight away. You don't have to worry about jumping into another tab or having another tab open. So it all brings it into one spot, which is pretty cool. The next kind of area over is what we refer to as the left rail. And this shows you all the teams that you are part of. So you'll notice here, this is a school one. There's a language arts team. And underneath that, there are little sub-teams, which are actually just channels. So you've got a team and then you've got some channels. So in the language arts one there, as an example, we've got language arts 102 is the team name. And underneath that, we've got a general channel. We've got a elements of fiction group, power of persuasion group, and reading units, which is really cool. So they're all sitting there. Now, what that means is whoever you add to the top of a channel So whoever's added to the team gets to see every single channel there in this context. So everything that's shared within the team, everyone can see, and anyone who's added to that team will get access to everything. You can now make a private channel, which will just lock it down for a certain number of people. So you might have a finance arm and you only got 5 people that want to look at a finance channel. You can lock it down so that only those people will see it, but everyone else will see everything else in the team. The beauty of teams is that if you start building some collaborative documents and get them all sorted, and then someone leaves your team, you just add a new member in and they can have access to everything as well. So it's a really nice way of being able to manage that kind of handover of documents when one person leaves a workplace or a team as well. The next banner across the top is also referred to as the we space. It's for everyone. And this is where your conversations sit, a link to your files. If you've got an education team set up, you'll have a class notebook there. You can also push out assignments and a whole lot of other stuff as well, and we'll show you that in a little bit. The second last bit we'll show you sits down here, which is where the conversation sits. So this is where your chatting happens, and that fluid conversation appears in this zone, and that's where you can also have your private chats as well. The last bit to look at is your settings at the top here, which is your profile. And we're going to talk a little bit about settings when we actually build a team. So I've got a team that we're going to build up as we go through as well. A couple of terminology bits. Because of the fact that Teams has got these key bits in it, it's really good to have a head around what the terminology means. So at the top of the team, like you can see that Monaro Twilight, that's the name of the team. Then underneath that, you'll see there are a series of channels. Whenever you create a team, a general channel is made straight away, and everyone is automatically part of that general channel. Then you can add more and more channels as the time goes on. So you can see there's 3 other channels being added there. They are all public channels, so anyone who's in the team can see them. If they're a private channel, there'll be a padlock on the end of it, and only the people that you nominate will be able to see anything inside that channel. The 3 dots, as with nearly everything now on web-based stuff, is if you see 3 dots, something will always open something up different, and that'll open up our settings, which is really good. You can also link, the question was, can you actually link to Google Drive? The answer is yes, Adele. So at UTB, using technology better, we've just added our Google Drives in as well, and we can grab stuff out of that. There's some really cool stuff you can do with Google Drive, and if I remember, I'll tell you about it right at the end. Another trick thing there. The other thing across here is the tabs across the top of the screen, and I'll show you what they look like in a tick when we start building them out. Cool. So we had a couple of questions. The first one was, Adele, can it link to your Google Drive? Yes, you can link to external drives and bring it into one spot. So you could have Teams as your launch pad, and you can go grab your stuff out of your Google Drive or your OneDrive if you want to. At Using Technology Better, we have a lot of our collaborative documents in Google, and we have a whole lot of other stuff sitting in Microsoft, and so we just use both of them. At the moment, we're building a lot of stuff in Microsoft because it just sits in that environment beautifully, but if we need to grab something from Google, we can. It makes it really easy to be fluid there. G'day, Clint, as well. I'm glad it's good in North Queensland. I hope it's not too wet for you. Anyway, we'll mosey on now. So what I'd like to do now, once we see what a team looks like, is actually build one, and my goal is to try to get you guys to jump into a team as well. Now, I know there's issues with doing that when we're collaborating and working online, but we'll give it a crack, and what could possibly go wrong. Well, actually, a lot of things could go wrong, but hopefully this will kind of work okay. So what we're going to do first is we're actually going to build a team, and I'm going to do that from scratch to show you what that looks like. This is being done in an educational account, so it's going to be slightly different if you are business, because business has a couple of other things that education has, and education has a couple of things that business doesn't. So hopefully it'll be quite cool. So just excuse me a tick while I just jump out of this window here. I'm just going to grab another window that's got even cooler stuff in it. Let me just see where I've put it. It's going to be over here, I think. Oh dear, let me just sign into my account, and then I'll bring it across to my screen. So just give me 2 ticks while I just make that happen for you. I'm going there. Just have to enter another password. Too many passwords. There we go. Cool. All right, lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing that screen there, and then actually show my face so you can see who's actually talking to you. And then I'm going to open up another window, which will have my team that or the account I'm going to use to build my team in. So let me just come to this one here. I share my screen, my desktop, which will be that one there. Go to share. Beautiful. So I'm now sitting in an education account that's got a whole lot of teams in it. So when I first open it up, it's just going to kick me to my teams, and it'll just load it down for me and have it sitting there. The experience I have online is exactly the same as the experience I have on my desktop app or on my mobile app or on my iPad. When you first jump into any Teams environment, if you haven't got an app running or you're using the web version, down the bottom will pop up a window that says, do you want to turn on notifications? And I always go dismiss because we can play around with that a little bit later. When you open up the window, you might see something that looks like this, which is all your teams joined together. So this is all the teams that I've made up, and we're going to get you to jump into one in a tick. If I was going to build one, what happens is over here on the top right-hand side of my window, I can join or create a team. If I open that up, this is slightly different if you're education compared to business. If you're a business in here, you will just see create a team, join or create a team. If you are education, when you go to open this up, it will then give you a different option. So I'm going to go to create team, which I'll get rid of at the end of this session. And because this is an education account, it gives me 4 options. I can open up a class team, and a class team is basically designed for my students. It's a class team. So if the school was shut for any reason and I had to keep on running my class, I could use a class team like this one, which is pretty cool. I could set up a PLC or a professional learning community team. So that might be a group of teachers that are working together across several schools. I can also set up a staff team where we can have staff meetings, faculty meetings, all those kind of things all being held in one spot, and that could be built in there as well. Or there could be a study group or clubs or something on the other side as well, which is our 4th team. If you're in business, then you just have the option of one team being built. You don't have all these. So I'm going to pretend that I'm going to do a professional learning team, which is slightly different from a class team. So when I do a professional learning team, it'll just open it up and we'll build it for a professional learning team. If I do a class, it asks me if I want to add students, and I'll show you a class one later. So if I open up that one there, ask for a name, and I'm just going to delete this at the end of the session. Delete. I can put a description in there if I want to. And then down here, I've got the option of being able to go private, which I have to add people, or I can make it public, which means anyone in your organization or your school or your tenant can actually join that. So if you've got a business and you just want people to jump in, it might be a social team that you're building. You don't want to have to add everyone. You just make it there so they can see it. It'll appear on their list and then they can just join it. But I'm going to leave it as private at the moment. If I then go next, it then starts creating my team and it will start building it in the background. What it does is it says, okay, as soon as you're ready to go, I want you to add some people. Now I'm just going to add in, let me go, I'll just add in Julia because she's sitting here. As soon as you start typing in, because it's using Azure Active Directory, it's just grabbing your names are there. So it brings in Julia. I can add her to the list and she's now in my team. I can keep on adding more and more things. When I first add someone, I can make them a member or I can make them an owner. An owner's got control over everything. A member is just sitting there to be able to be part of it. So I'm just going to leave her a member. And then when it kicks in, you've got a beautiful thing sitting here like this, and you've got your team ready to go, which is quite nice. You'll also see that down over here, I've got my name of my team. I've then got channels. If I want to add a channel, I can just come into here and go add a channel, and I can number it 01 test like that, and then go add, and it's all cool. It'll start building those channels out for me as well. If I wanted to make a private channel, once again, I come into here, add a channel, cool, 02. Notice that I'm using 01, 02, 03 because then I can actually name it and make it work really easily in terms of being able to find stuff in my list. Cool. And then down here, my privacy, you can see that I can make that private. So if I make it a private channel and go next, it's going to say, all right, oh, cool, that's there. It says, who do you want to be in there? Now I've only got Julia in the team, so it's just going to be me and her. And go add. And then that channel now will appear on my list because I made it. It'll be on Julia's list because she's in it, but it won't be on anyone else's list, so they won't know it's there. So it's really good for those private things that you need to have happening as well. So you might have a project that you're working on, and you just want those people in the project, and you don't want to clutter up the rest of the stuff that happens inside my teams here. So that's nice. All right, so that's our little team there. Couple of things that you might want to look at in terms of permissions and stuff. You can be really granular with the way in which you are notified about anything. So every channel, I'll come to this channel here, every channel in here has channel notifications that you can turn on and off for every single channel, and also you can have team notifications as well. If you are the owner, you can come in and manage the channel here as well, but we won't go into that too much tonight. The other thing that you might want to be aware of and kind of put into place pretty early is that because you'll have a lot of chatter going on inside these teams and conversation happening and people posting things, that if you've got your notifications turned on, you might be getting things being pinged at you or hit at you a lot of the time. So if I go into here and go to channel notifications, so the 3 dots on the right-hand side of my screen, if I go channel notifications, inside here, I can do some bits and pieces. I can say every time there's a new post, I can be notified if I want, which is probably a bit disastrous. And then every time I'm mentioned in a channel, I can turn that on and off by having a banner feed, or I can turn it off completely. So there's a couple of things I can do inside that area in here for the channel. At the top here, there's my little person, which is my profile. And my profile then will enable me to be able to kind of control the notifications over all my teams. So if I come down to my settings in here, I can change my theme around a little bit, so I can make it dark or light. I can do a grid list or grid view or list view. I've also got my notifications in here, and you can see that in here there are heaps of ways I can control my notifications, which is really, really good. So you can actually go through and play around with them. One of the things, a couple of things that I would say that I'd be a bit aware of is, if I zoom in a little bit, that one there where you've got banner and email, that becomes really annoying. So pretend you've got 6 classes that you're working with, you've got 30 kids in each class, and they're all pinging messages and things like that. Every time you get a mention somewhere, and if you get an email, your email inbox is going to go nuts. So probably what I would do is get rid of the email. I might just show it in the feed or put it as a banner. So I've got a lot popping up with banners, and I've got a lot of audio reminders as well. On your phone, you can set it so that you'll only be alerted on your phone when you have not got your desktop version open. So it's absolutely terrific. So it means that if you're working on your desktop, your phone's not going to be buzzing. But then when you're off that and you've shut your laptop down, your phone can actually notify you that you've got a notification if you've got to follow up, which is really quite nice. So that's all the settings inside there. We're not going to spend too much time delving into that. We can go a bit further in other webinars or in other sessions if you should choose to do that. So let's have a look at a team that I built earlier today. This is one that I prepared earlier. I've got a UTB webinar demo, and in there, I have built up a class. Now this class is pretty cool because it's got all these people in it, which is just lovely, which is you guys. And I can actually add you, if you've got an account that is got a Microsoft account attached to it, you can join this class. Now, this is where the webinar could go completely belly up and completely fail altogether. So I'm just going to grab my PowerPoint from another desktop. Give me a second. There it is. I'm going to go like this and just drop it into this desktop. The joys of running multiple desktops. It's pretty cool. Right, let's go over to here. Okay, cool. Right, so here's my PowerPoint. I'm just going to make this nice and big. Because what I've done is I've come into here and I've actually built for you the capacity to join a team. Now, it may not work or it may work. So I tried it myself today and it worked fantastic. But also because I created it and I'm in my own account, it may not work. So here we go. So what we're going to try to do, if you can see that screen, that'll be terrific. So Julia, just let me know in chat if that's everyone can see that screen. So this is a screen that's got a shortened URL, which you can add into a tab of your browser and go utb.fyi/demo team using that case sensitive. So make sure you've got a capital D and a capital T. And then what that should do is it should give you a link, which will then take you to the team that we just created. When you get there, what will happen is that you will then be asked either to open it in the app or open it in your browser. Now, we suggest to open it in your browser. So what will happen is, I'll let you have a look at that. So it's utb.fyi/demo team. If you then go to the next window, when you actually put that in the Omni box at the top of your browser, or in the address bar at the top of your browser, it will then take you to a spot that says, hey, do you want to download the app or do you want to use the web instead? We suggest that you use the web instead, and this will only work if you've got a Google, not a Google account, hush my mouth, unless you have got a Microsoft account, because it's looking for a Microsoft account as well. So the way in which Microsoft does its tenants and things, I can bring you in as guests, which gives you some flexibility to be able to see some things. But unless you're actually in my environment, you can't actually get in really easily. So it's fantastic. So Julia's just let me know that it's opened up, which is pretty cool. And now I'm going to just minimize this window a little bit and open up my other window. And inside here, you should be able to see, when you come into my UTB demo site, you should open up, you should be able to see this chat line. Now for Julia, you're going to have to go in the incognito window, because what it's doing is it's forcing you into the UTB team, not the team that I made up. Now this may not work for us, so if it fails completely, that's pretty cool. But what I'm going to do as well, I can grab people's email addresses and drop you in if I need to. But we'll let it go. So if you can get to that, that's terrific. If not, no worries. We understand how tricky it is to get into these things as well. So let me take you a bit of a darts mix tour here of what happens in this team. So this is a school team. So remember, this is slightly different from a business, but it's for all intents and purposes, everything that we have here still works. And this is what makes teams pretty cool. In my post channel here, I can just type in, I can add people, I can just go, hey everyone, and that's a post that goes into this channel. So it's kind of like instant messaging, but better than email. Because if you think that you've got emails that go around to schools and you've got 17 people that respond, and then they're all going to work out who's saying what where, and those emails get broken up and you can't quite follow anything, because I've got threaded chats here, I can then have a chat going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this team here. I'm going to add a member. I'm going to add Julia to this team, so it should appear for her. Cool. And then she'd possibly be able to type in for me as well. And I should be able to, that could work because she's in our domain, so it might work. So she can actually add and type things as well. If I'm doing a reply, so let's pretend that I've got, hi everyone, hi there. Let's pretend this is a post that I've done that I want to kind of reply to. If I go down here and just type a response, then that'll plop it in there. But notice how I've got a threaded comment here. So now those comments are all linked together. So the way in which fluid conversation happens is that then you can just jump in here and have a conversation happening, and it's threaded as you go, so you can follow what's going on, which is really, really good. So for us in UTB, our internal emails are very minimal, but our chats are really fluid. So we can jump in and out and have a chat at any time. A couple of things to do with chats, which I'll come down here as well. You'll notice that whenever I hover over a chat, I get these kind of things here, which is great. So I can put a love heart if I really like a comment. I can put a smiley face. I can do a bit of a surprise look if that's really a surprise thing. I can also come in here and go, oh, that's upsetting. I can change things around if I want to at the top here. I can also come to my three dots, and if I wrote the task, I can then edit it. If I didn't write the post, I can't edit it, which is pretty good. I can mark it as unread as well. I can get a link to it. I can share it to Outlook. I can translate it to a different language. I can also use Immersive Reader, and I can turn off notifications from here if I want to. I can also save this message. So this works really well if I've been out for a bit, doing some work, come back, and there's a whole lot of messages there and something I've got to pay attention to. If I save it, it just puts a little red flag on it for me. I don't know if it's beautiful. And then I can find my saved messages a bit later, and I'll show you how that works. So that's how I kind of keep track of what's going on. One of the things that we're doing at UTB for us, which works really well, is that if you're working in a class situation and you post something to your students, And what happens is they then jump in and respond to something. You might say, okay, guys, Friday is cake day. Please bring your own cakes, which is terrific. And then you want to know that they've actually read the post. What we're saying for our protocols is that instead of coming down here and going, I've read it, and then you have 30 kids saying, I've read it, it gets really annoying because you've still got to read through all those names to see whether they've read it or not. What we're saying is just come across to here and give us a thumbs up, because the thumbs up will let us know that you've read the post, which is terrific. So in here, when we hover over it, your names will come up there. So for us, we've got a lot of fluid things happening with our company or with our team, and we need responses from people. We'll just use the thumbs up and I can quickly scan whether they have seen what's going on. So that's a really nice way of just managing the way in which you do a post. The other thing I can do, which is really cool, I'm going to come in here and create a new channel, and I'm just going to call this O1 test. Now, the reason I'm using the O1s in here is because then I can actually nominate, I can control where they sit in my list. So I've got things a bit of control, because otherwise it does it alphabetically for me. I don't start with 1, because then when I get to 10, 10 comes up to the top. So I go O1, O2, O3, etc. all the way to 10, and then I go 11, 12, etc., which is really good. So the good thing about this is that I can then just control which way my teams work and my channels work. So the way we look at it is you have as many channels as you need in a team, and you want to minimize the number of teams you have. So small number of teams, lots of channels. So I can see that we've got some issues with people not being able to get in. That's okay. I didn't think it would work, so I just thought I'd give it a crack. So thanks anyway for everyone having a shot at it. It's because you're outside the tenant and it gets really messy and things. So I'm just going to add this O1 test channel, and then I'm going to add a bit of a post down here. Now you'll notice that right at the bottom of my screen, you might be able to see it. On my post channel, I've got a little button which has got an A with like a paintbrush next to it, which is my formatting tab. When I hit that, it actually changes the way in which my messages look. I can add a subject, so I could be saying like maths test. I can then say, type in here when the test is, and I can then put some dot points. So now I've got a formatting tool here. It could be algebra, then calculus, and then trig. Cool, easy test, that's all cool. I can also highlight things in here. I can change the color. I can make that underlined. I can come in there, change my color down here. I can underline what I'm doing. I can bold, make this a bit bigger if I need to, make it really large. I'll place my cursors, my large cursors down there. I can make medium. I can then also move it either way. I can put quotations in there. I can put a hyperlink. I can put a embedded code. So if I've got a form or something like that I want to put in here as well. I can also put a line, which I quite like because it breaks up my post a little bit, so I can have another bit underneath it, which is nice. I can also come to here and put an exclamation mark to mark it important. So I go like that, so it looks a bit different. And then I've got some options where I can undo and redo my typing, which is cool. The other thing that I can do here, which is just terrific, is that I might have a note that needs to go out to all my teams. So it might be at a business. So let's pretend that we've got a safety drill on Friday, and I'm part of 5 teams and there's a whole lot of channels. I can come to here and go post in multiple channels. And what that will do is it'll open up another little kind of menu bar in here, and then I can pick the channels that I want to go to. So you can see here's all my other teams. We've got a whole stack of teams here. And inside that, I can put in what teams I actually want to be able to punch to, and that message will go to every single team. It'll be an individual message to every team. So if people respond, it'll be in the team that it's been posted to, not back to this main account. So that's pretty cool. I can also just go, you know what, I don't want no one to reply. I just want to have me and moderators reply to that, which is pretty cool. And then I'll just go post. So what it looks like is it looks a little bit different on my page, so it draws attention to it. And then people can reply in this bit here. And so then you get the threaded replies happening. So it's a really nice way of doing something. But even better than that, I'm going to come down to here and do the same thing. So I'll hit that formatting button. Then I can come in here and go an announcement. Now, announcement is really good because what this does is it makes it jump out even better. So I'm going to come in here and I can add a picture if I want to. So in here, I can bring a picture in from my laptop. I can then come down here and say, important. Cool. So we've got a nice little thing there. I can, if I wanted to, I can drop pictures into here. I can make this look really, really interactive and really nice. When I post that now, I'm just going down the bottom, because it's an announcement, it'll post up like this, and it looks a little bit better in that list as well. So it looks nice when I see it. So it's a really good way of being able to communicate and punch out information and have it looking a bit nicer. So the announcement is bigger than the important thing there, but you'll see that they both jump out, which is better than that threaded post, which is great. So that's a couple of ways that you can draw attention to yourself, or not attention to yourself, but draw attention to what's going on by just using that threaded chat there, which is really cool. So we use these announcements quite a lot when we've got things happening, because we want to be able to manage what's going on in the classroom, or not in our classroom, but in the workspace. And that workspace enables us to be able to post information and have that fluid chat as well. The other things I can do in here, I'm going to do it down the bottom here. I can then come in here and put an attachment where I can just drop in anything that I can attach to it, like a PDF, a file, or whatever. I could also then put a smiley face, because I might be going, oh, that's a bit of a shock. So I can actually make my messages just a little bit nicer for people to read. I'll put the penguin there as well. And then when I post it, they'll be sitting there like that. So it just adds a bit of kind of community and collaboration and fun. So especially if you're working remotely and you haven't got face-to-face with your colleagues or your students all the time, this kind of thing can just make it a bit lighter. The other thing I love in here as well is the capacity to do the GIFs, and you can control what you have there. So I might go birthday, because I know that's a really good one there. Cool. Yay. So it might be someone's birthday, and then you could post this to the channel as well. And you've got this happy birthday GIF playing in the background as well. So it just adds to what's going on, and there are a multitude of them. So normally when you share this with your staff or with your students, they'll find the GIF button probably quicker than you could possibly imagine, quicker than the speed of light, and then they will jump in there and start playing with it, which is okay, that's fine for them to do it. I tend to say for students, let them go nuts, and then talk about responsible use. Every single chat that you've got here is being saved and stored, so you can always go back and find them if you need to, and they're actually stored in a file on your drive as well. So it's pretty cool. It's archived automatically for you, so you don't need to worry about it. You can turn off at an admin level, if you're a school, the capacity to chat. So you might go, oh, look, I don't want my kids to chat to each other because it's just too hard. I'm just going to let it, I can turn that off completely. So at the moment, we're chatting away in our conversations here and posting in this kind of spot here. And then down the bottom, we've got some other functions as well. We can open up the stream, we get some ideas and so on, the add-ons that I've put in there, which we'll talk about towards the end. The other thing we haven't talked about in here is this post here, everyone inside the channel can see it. So it's really cool. So everyone inside this channel can see what's going on here. But let's pretend I just wanted to get Julia's attention. So I can go, hey, if I just do an @mention, it will pull up Julia's name. Please buy cake. Cool. And then she'll get a ping saying, hey, you've got to get buy some cake. So as soon as you start typing the names, that will appear as long as they are members of your team. You can't do that for anyone outside of your team. But let's pretend that Julia and I are talking about doing a surprise birthday party for someone. And if we put it in this post here, it wouldn't be very appropriate. So on my top left-hand side up here, we've got a chat button. And in this chat button here, you'll see all the other conversations I've been having, which is pretty cool. And I can also filter my chats in here if I want to, and I can see what's going on here, which is really, really quite nice as well. So this is a conversation I've been having with Sam, which is pretty cool. I can hide them away if I need to, but I can come down here and go, I'm going to start a new one with Julia. And there she is, there's Julianne there. And you'll notice that there was a bit of conversation there because this comes from an account that we've used before. So anything I type in here will go to Julia as well. We can add other people into this conversation if we want to. And what that means is then we can have 5 or 6 people in a chat, which is like a private chat, but all 5 or 6 of us can see what's going on, but it doesn't exist in a channel or in those posts. So it's a really nice way of having a fluid conversation. A couple of things with that chat is that you'll need to be aware that that just keeps on going. The number of chats that we have all the time is quite phenomenal. But inside a chat as well, I'll just pull back Julia here. So inside here, we can just quickly click on the top here and that'll do a video call or a voice call. And that video call is based in using Skype. And what that does is it pulls up a video call and you can have a video call straight away that's live inside it. It uses less bandwidth than what Zoom does, and you can keep on adding more and more people to a video conversation as well. So we tend to, in terms of good practice, is we tend to chat a lot. If it gets to the stage where the chat is starting to kind of not run dry, but really looking at, we might find that, oh my goodness, we need to actually sort this really quickly, and then we'll jump into a video call. So a lot of our conversation is very fluid, but in that chat window, the instant messaging window, and the posts as well, and then we'll jump into a video call if we need to. But it's very fluid and very quick. So that's the best thing that I really like about it. Now you might be going, well, that's fantastic. We've got the chat happening here. We've got the post happening in the mainstream there. It's all cool. How can I find anything that I want to? At the top here, you'll see that there's a search for a type or a command. You can type anything in there and it will search and find it for you. So the nice thing about this is if I do the little backslash there, what it does is it comes up with a whole lot of things that I can do really quickly, like just shortcuts that I can jump through to be able to access something. So if I want to look at all my saved messages, I really hope I haven't got a whole lot here. That could be quite embarrassing. All my saved messages will appear here. And at the moment I've got, oh, here it's getting my saved list. It's coming. It may not populate it. I might have too many in there, but my saved messages will come through here and I'll be able to see them. So what that means for me is in the morning, when I come through and open up my phone and start doing some stuff, I'll go through and tick on the things that I need to save and come back to. And then during the day, I'll sit there and go through my saved. It's not my to-do list. And I just tick through and how it works out, how to do it. I can also come up to here where my little profile is on the top right-hand side of my screen and go to my saved messages as well. It'll take me through my saved messages as well. Cool. Right, so that's how my saves work. As we roll down this little screen here, you'll notice that there's a calendar and there's some files. In these files here, what this links to my OneDrive. So this is my OneDrive stuff sitting in here. This is all the things that are sitting in my OneDrive. And then this one here is anything in my Microsoft Teams drive, because what Microsoft Teams does, whenever I create a new team, it creates a new folder or a new area where all collaborative documents sit. And it's just grabbing that at the moment. So I'm going to jump out of that so it doesn't spin forever. So inside my little test one here, up the top here, I've got these tabs. So these tabs are pretty cool. So what they do for me is they enable me to be able to customize the way in which this top bit looks. So inside here, my next tab over is files, and this takes me to effectively like a OneDrive area inside my Teams, but basically it's a SharePoint site. So in here, I can upload anything. I can drop it in there. I can create new in there. Anything that we add in here is also available to everyone inside the team. So remembering it's like a team, it is like a team, so everyone gets to be able to see stuff. And I can also add alternate cloud storage in here as well. So if I add the alternate cloud storage, it'll bring up stuff like my SharePoint, it'll bring Dropbox, Box, ShareFile, Google Drive. Those ones are available to be accessed there, which is really, really handy. Let's just pretend that we want to create a bit of a Word document and we don't want to jump out of here and whatever. So if we come to the new bit, whoops, up here and go plus new, it's going to say, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to create a folder? Or do you want to create an O365 document? I'm going to do a Word doc. Let's make it a little bit better. So now you can see the power of Teams is that I've actually got Microsoft Word operating inside my Teams, which is collaborative with everyone. So if you guys are in here, you can now jump into this collaborative doc and we'd all be working in the same document at the same time. This is the browser version of Word, but works really well. So I can type in this. Oh, we can type it better than that. So this is important to read, which is really quite important to read here. So what that means is that I can make a whole lot of information for my students here. So it might be like, don't worry about my spelling, it's quite embarrassing. I might just get rid of that. This is to read, there we go, fantastic. So this might be a plan of what's coming up this week, or it could be some minutes for a meeting, or it could be an agenda item or whatever. But this is automatically saved inside my drive now, which is inside my Teams, I should say. So if I can now come back to Teams, it's saved automatically for it. Here it is sitting in here. And what I can do is when I come to up here again, notice that I've got my post tab, I've got my files tab, I've got a notes tab, and I'll talk about that in just a smidge. If I go add a tab, it says, what do you want to add at the top here? So you can come through and grab anything from here and add it in as a tab. You can add planner in there. Now I'm just going to add planner and then come back to it in a tick. Yep, cool. Yeah. Cool. Lovely. It's going to post it for me. It's going to take a couple of secs. but I'm not going to show it to you. I'm going to come back to this one here and go plus, and I can grab a Word doc, and let's grab this one here, and it's there, and that's now going to go to the top of my window here, and in my little tabs area here, I can drag it back across to make it a bit more important. Just going to drag one tab at a time, and then the students can come in here and jump in there and read that straight away rather than going and opening a file. So I would have my lesson plan there for the week, or my plan for the week. Kids click on that, they can see what's going on, all my minutes for my meetings and things like that as well, which is really cool. You can keep on adding more and more across here, endless what you can add. Another nice thing that you would have seen in this one here is a YouTube clip. So you might have a YouTube clip that you want the kids to access. You can put that in there as well. Now, a quick look at Planner. This is like a 2-second view of Planner. If you want to look more about this, then we've got an offer for you a bit later on at the end of this webinar. But Planner is a project management tool which sits inside Teams, and it's really clever because what it does is you can allocate tasks to people. You can get a metric of how that project's being done. And then if you want to change something around with it, you can then add people to other tasks and move it around back and forward if you need to. So it's really, really cool. It's a project management tool. So I think it's just terrific. The other thing I can do in here, I'm going to be real quick here. I can manage assignments as well. Now I'm going to take you back to the PowerPoint in a tick and show you the assignments in that. But you'll notice that there's a calendar here. And in this calendar, I can create a meeting. And when I create a meeting, it then gets populated to everyone else's Outlook calendar. The beautiful thing about that is once that meeting's been set, anyone can join it. They don't need to have an O365 account like you do to be inside the team. Anyone can join a meeting. And as soon as you start a meeting, it gets recorded. You can record it inside Stream. So what that means is when a meeting starts, the video will start coming up. A message will come up to all the participants saying you're about to be recorded. You go record, and it saves it automatically into Stream for you as you go. Whenever you start a meeting, up will pop for you guys. Let me come back to here, a notes channel, and that notes channel will follow every single meeting that you have. So this little notes tab up here is kind of like a wiki. It's going to take a while to load up. And then every time you have a meeting, you can add to your notes. So if you've got a faculty meeting, you've got minutes being taken, they can be added here. Everyone can see what's going on. Really, really easy to go. This is opening up OneNote for you, sorry, so I apologize greatly for that. You can also write your notes in that as well, but if I started a meeting, a separate tab opens up, which then can be your running record of every single meeting. So when people miss a meeting, they can jump back in and read those notes at any time, but it sits with every single meeting. So whenever you open a meeting, it's always going to be there. Stream will then record your meeting for you, which is fantastic. When you finish your meeting, it drops it up into Microsoft Stream. It then does a transcript for you. It will go through your video and it will do your transcript, and then it will do the transcript down the side of your stream, which is like a YouTube channel. You can click on any part of that transcript and it will take you straight to that bit of the video. So pretend you've got a meeting and you're really concerned about cake at a Christmas party. You can jump down to the cake at the Christmas party bit rather than listening to all the decisions that need to be made, say for school uniform or something like that, which could be slightly boring. So you can jump around wherever you click on the text, it'll take you to that part of the video. We've tried it here at my house and we've just done some little videos ourselves, and we reckon it's about 98% accurate. And it's really quick. So if you've got a 10-minute video, maybe 6 minutes, 5 minutes later, you'll have the transcript there. It's really quick and it's absolutely fantastic. So that's one of the things that's a game changer. So if you can imagine for students, you're running a webinar or something where you're screen recording your class, you can use Microsoft Teams to do that. When you've got Microsoft Teams doing it, it means that then it's being recorded to stream. The transcript's there, so if they have issues with hearing, if they are hearing impaired, they can then read the transcript and see what's going on in the video at the same time. Absolutely superb. I just think it's just wonderful. Before I jump out of my Teams window here and come and show you some other bits, down the bottom there's some apps that you can add. If you click on the apps there, depends what's been added in your environment, but you'll find some apps are floating around as well, and some of these are called bots. Now, a bot is an automated thing that will then run and do things automatically inside your team for you. So there's some absolutely brilliant ones. There's one's called Secretary Bot here, and the Secretary Bot, if you've got all your information added in correctly into your Microsoft tenant, and with all your information sitting there with who teaches what and what rooms are there and all your timetables and everyone's using their calendar appropriately, the Secretary Bot, all you say is, at secretary, can you please find a meeting between me, Fred, Ralph, Damien, and Scott? And what it will do is it will go to their calendars, find where they're free, find a free room in your school, book the meeting, send an invite, put an invite into your calendar, all done. You don't have to do a thing. So for me, that is unbelievable. And we've tried it in our company and it's just fantastic to see how it works. It works really well and really quick. So if you ever need to find a spot or a meeting time with people, you can't be bothered looking through everyone's calendars. I don't know if you've ever tried that. Email back and forward multiple times till you get a meeting and you can't do it. This helps you do it, and that's sitting inside Teams. And it's all built in there so you don't have to jump out of that. Your calendar links across as well, and you can also tag in mail. You can email straight out of a channel if you want to, and you can email straight into a channel if you want to. So really cool stuff that you can do inside Teams. The last thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to jump out of this little window here and grab my PowerPoint again. And come down here and just open up a couple of these little ones to show you a little bit about how the tool works really quickly in terms of being able to set an assignment to students. So I'll just open this one just here and I will open it up for us and just explain how it works. So now inside an education world, so not a business world, education world, I can set assignments for my students and punch it out to the students like a learning management system. So what happens is it goes out to the students, it gets posted into their accounts, so it appears in their drive and they'll be able to see it. You can then also edit it. You can see what they're working on at any one time. You can set a return date, so it's got to be due by a certain time. After that time, they can submit it, but they get a late edit, or you just turn that off so they can't submit it at all. You can integrate Turner in as well, so it automatically does an integrity check as it works. You can add a rubric that will then be attached to the document and the students will be able to see it. And then you can add whatever resources you want to have there and punch it out to the students. It's absolutely sensational and it works really well. So it just punches the document out, they can work on it and it'll pull it back whenever you need to. You can see it anytime. You can get some metrics based on how long each student's been in a document. And you can also look if you're doing group work. So you might want to set a group task and you have a whole lot of kids working together and they might be in a chat together. You can monitor how often the students chat, which means that you might have those kids that don't participate in conversation verbally a lot, but they'll do it via chat. And that instant messaging will then free them up to actually engage a bit more. And sometimes you'll find that with certain students. And then you can give a mark for group work and group participation, because you can see from the analytics sitting on the back of this, how many kids have been involved and how many kids have been chatting, which is really, really cool. The other thing I can do in here, which is really nice, is I can my rubric I can add so the students can see where they need to improve and not work on as well. And then also I can differentiate and add different tasks to different students. But because it's all linked into one spot and brought into one bit, it's really cool they can find it here. So I just think that it's really superb the way in which it works. If you've got meetings happening, I'll just divert to this again, you can actually get live captions in your meeting as you go as well, which is pretty cool. So I think that's really good. Okay, we'll jump out of the connectors because we've already talked about them. Bots we've talked about as well. The different types of teams we've talked about, which is pretty cool. And I'm just flying down a bit here. And the whole idea of being connected in one spot is exactly what we want to do. And that's where I think Teams is a bit of a game changer. If you're setting up a team, there's a couple of things we can do to make it work. We can roll through here in terms of create a team, you add members, configure the settings, add some channels, install some apps, add tabs, and then you can archive or delete a team when it's at the end there. So it's the way that the cycle works. So best practice basically is thinking about what the use for a team would be, what channels do you want in there, and then build it out. And sometimes you'll find that a team will just come to the end of its natural life as well. The team's deployment best practice that we've seen around the place is to do a pilot with a small group of people, then deploy it to a bigger lot, make sure people know what's going on, and then assess and provide feedback. So it's a really nice way of doing it. Those pilots tend to work really well because you can target certain people to be able to be in that pilot and give it a crack and give it a try. Alrighty, so we've gone through everything for you really quite quickly here, and we'd like to say to you, do you want some more? Because we've been rabbiting on, I've been rabbiting on for nearly an hour, talking about the stuff in Teams, and hopefully you've picked up my enthusiasm of how much I think Teams is just really cool. I honestly don't think we could operate as a company, as using technology better, without Teams holding us all together. So if you'd like to be part of a personal Teams coaching hour, Up on your screen now will be a I'm interested button, or I join me now, or hit me up, or yes, I'm really interested, something along those lines. I can't remember the exact wording. But that'll appear now, and you can hit on that, and what will happen is that we will send you some information about how you can actually have a personalized Teams coaching hour with me online. And so we'll run through and show you how everything works and give you some tips and tricks about bringing your school or your workplace into that Teams environment so you can use it really effectively and really efficiently. We spent an hour looking at this gear, and honestly, we can spend another hour just coaching you to get it exactly right for your space and exactly right for your team so they can be more productive, more collaborative, and that communication can be so much more clearer for you guys. If you want to connect with us as well, in the future, we've got an app. If you just go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, you can download our app, and in that you'll get a whole lot of information, blog posts, and you'll get a newsletter from us as well. And the last thing we'd like to do, about a minute and a half over time, is this final bit here. We would really love some feedback from you guys, especially around how you thought this webinar went. From your end, did you get stuff out of it that you can take away? Is there anything else you'd like to know? Have we actually hit the mark with you guys for tonight? So thank you so much for your time, which is absolutely precious at this time of year, especially it's late in New Zealand. There's some people from New Zealand here, which is nearly your bedtime. It's nearly my bedtime. So if you could just fill in this feedback form for us, utb.fyi feedback, and that'll take you to a feedback form where we just want to get some feedback to how well we went. Because we'd love to run more of these. I think these webinars are great, and just being able to have that information. Good. So thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate you allowing me to jump into your laptop and share some time and some insights that we found with Teams. Hope it was beneficial for you, and I really hope that the rest of your week goes really well, and that you enjoy where you are, and if you're in school, that you're enjoying your teaching, and if you're in business, that business is going well for you. So thanks very much for your time. I'll leave that screen up for a bit, and we'll see you later. Thank you.